Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. You are attending Don't Wait, Plan Your Estate. My name is Naomi Rodda. I am a licensed clinical social worker and one of the directors at MPTF, Motion Picture Television Fund. Again, welcome. Thank you for giving up part of your evening to join us for this very important topic. I am joined tonight by my esteemed colleague, Jennifer Clymer, who's going to be advancing slides for me. I want to start off just with a little housekeeping of how this webinar is going to work. This is a webinar, so if you have questions, they will go in the Q&A function. I want to explain a little bit what we are going to be talking about and what we're not going to be talking about. Hopefully, it will still resonate with you. So, as I mentioned, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I am not a certified financial planner, and I am not a trust and estates attorney. So this presentation is intended to be a high-level overview of really what should go, how to look at your entire estate. We're not going to be talking about specifically how to set up a trust, what should go in a trust, what shouldn't go in a trust. That's outside my scope of practice. So we're not going to be going over the specifics of, what is tax advantaged, what is not, what things should go in my trust, what things shouldn't. So I just want to make that clear so that people's expectations can be met. Again, this presentation is intended to provide general information. If you have specific questions about your situation, you're strongly encouraged to speak to a certified professional. That would be a trust and estates attorney or a financial advisor to discuss individualized planning. So the first thing we're going to be discussing is Medicare versus Medi-Cal. This is easily confused. And again, I'm not sure if there are participants that are attending outside of California. Medi-Cal is what Medicaid is called specifically in California. So in other states, it's called Medicaid or something else. But when I'm referring to Medi-Cal, I'm speaking specifically about what Medicaid is called in California. So I wanted to start by explaining a little bit about Medicare and the parts of Medicare. If you have been to our Medicare and MPI retiree coordination of benefits webinars, this will be primarily review. If you've not been or you're not vested with MPI retiree health, this could be new information for you. So I encourage you to get a little bit of an overview of what Medicare covers, and there's a reason why I'm outlining it. Okay, so Medicare has different parts of the alphabet. It's really starts with letter A. Jen, can you go back one slide for me, please? Okay, so Medicare A is your inpatient hospital coverage for people that are 65 and older or permanently disabled. Okay, this aspect of Medicare is free. There is no cost, there is no premium. There is a deductible, and that changes every year, but there is no premium. Medicare B covers 80% of outpatient services. So this is your physician copays, your labs, your rehab, x-rays, hospice. For 2025, the standard monthly premium is $185 a month. This is usually deducted automatically from Social Security, okay? If you have earned more than $106,000 as a single person over the last 2 years, your Medicare B premium is going to be more. I don't have the specifics of those premiums, but it will be more. It's income based. Now, failure to enroll in this part of Medicare is really devastating. So I strongly encourage people, if you have Medicare questions, we're going to be holding a Medicare for non-vested retirees on September 25th. I strongly encourage you to come to that to learn more about Medicare. Medicare Part C is commonly referred to as Medicare Supplement, Medigap, Medicare Advantage. This aspect of Medicare is the 20% that is not covered by Medicare B. So if you are vested with employer-based healthcare, so that would be MPI, if you are a vested retiree with a DGA, WGA, some other employer, you do not need to purchase a supplement or an advantage plan. If you are not going to have retiree health, this is something that you are going to need. Because if you don't have it, if you only have Medicare A and B, you're going to be paying out of pocket 20% of your medical costs. Okay, so that's why I'm discussing Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, because if you don't vest with retiree health, you will need this. Medicare D is for prescription drug plans. Again, if you are vested with retiree health, you do not need to worry about a prescription drug plan. If you will not vest with retiree health, you will need a prescription drug plan. And the same as Medicare B, it is important to enroll in Medicare D in a timely manner when you're supposed to. If you fail to enroll in Medicare D according to the timeline, your specific timeline, this can result in lifetime penalties. Okay, what does Medicare not cover? Okay, Medicare does not cover the daily rate in a long-term skilled nursing facility. That's usually covered by Medi-Cal or private funds or a long-term care insurance policy. And we're going to speak more about that. Okay, guess what Medicare also doesn't cover? The cost of in-home caregivers. People are absolutely shocked that after they come home from a rehab or as their care needs change, and they realize that they need in-home caregivers, that this is not something that Medicare covers. Okay, so that's why it's important when you're thinking about your estate plan to think about, oh, what's gonna, what is my plan if at some point I might need care? Okay, so again, these costs can be covered by private funds, a long-term care insurance policy, or the combination of Medicare and Medi-Cal. Okay. The other thing that Medicare does not cover is the cost of care in an assisted living facility, a memory care unit, or a board and care facility. Again, while we're discussing this, people again are shocked. They think, well, why doesn't Medicare cover me when I need assisted living or when I need to, God forbid, I should need a memory care unit? It's not what Medicare covers. Okay. So when you're thinking about how you're going to look at your estate and what your care needs might be later in life, this is an important thing to know about and to consider. What does Medi-Cal cover? Okay, so Medi-Cal, by definition, is a program for low-income adults. All right, the monthly income and liquid asset limits vary by state. Okay, for 2026, the liquid asset limit is $130,000, which is extremely generous. Most states would never allow you to have anywhere near that kind of money. Okay. An individual's primary residence, so the primary home that you live in, is not counted as part of your asset for Medi-Cal qualification. Okay, your primary residence. So if you have a second home, a vacation home, a cabin, that is not, that is counted as part of your asset portfolio. Okay, primary residence only. For estate planning purposes, okay, Medi-Cal does cover the daily rate for inpatient long-term skilled nursing, so a nursing home, in-home caregiver costs for community-based individuals who meet the income and asset guidelines, although the number of hours that are covered per month is determined by Medi-Cal. You don't get to choose. You don't get to say to Medi-Cal, I need 40 hours a week of care. They're going to assess and determine how much of that, if any, it will be covered by Medi-Cal. And certain community-based assisted living or board and care facilities that are qualified are classified as a Medi-Cal waiver facility. So not all facilities are classified as Medi-Cal waiver. And unfortunately, with the new administration and some of the cuts that are going on, it's become increasingly more difficult if a facility is not already a Medi-Cal waiver facility to become one. Long-term care insurance. So as I mentioned in the previous slides, some people opt to purchase long-term care insurance because they're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to have care needs later in my life. I want to plan for that. And long-term care insurance can cover some of the costs of in-home caregivers or the daily rate at an assisted living or a memory care unit. So it has the potential to be a helpful product. What are the pros and cons? Here are the pros, all right? Long-term care insurance provides home-based care, so in-home caregivers. It can cover the cost of an assisted living or memory care unit or board and care facility. It covers the daily rate of a nursing home. Okay, most people can't afford to pay privately if they ever needed nursing home care. Most nursing homes in California are between $10,000 and $15,000 a month. And the expectation is that most people, if they require that level of care, will need long-term Medi-Cal. And the other thing that long-term care insurance may cover is adult day care. So some people choose, rather than having caregivers come to the home, they will choose, if their loved one has cognitive impairment or is physically frail, they may choose to send them to a day program for socialization, to give the primary caregiver respite, basically to give the person who's more frail an opportunity to get out, to socialize, and to give the primary caregiver respite. So these are the types of things that long-term care insurance has the potential to cover. Some of the cons: the monthly premiums for long-term care insurance rise with age, depending on when you purchase your policy. So if you purchase your policy at age 40, your premiums are going to be much lower than if you decide to purchase your policy at 55 or 60. Okay, so if you're going to think about long-term care insurance as part of an overall estate plan, it's better, if you're going to opt for it, to purchase it earlier. Just like regular insurance. If you purchase regular insurance, life insurance, your policy is structured based on your health when you purchase it, and the premiums may adjust or may change as you get older and your healthcare needs are different. Okay. Another con of these long-term care insurance policies: most policies have at least a 30-day waiting period. Okay, which means you cannot access it in a health emergency. So if you end up this, and I've seen this happen, and this is the downside of these policies. People think, oh, I have this long-term care insurance policy, it's great, I'm taken care of. They end up in the hospital for some adverse reason, some acute reason, and maybe they go to rehab, maybe they don't, maybe they go straight home, and they need in-home care for whatever reason. Guess what? There's a 30-day waiting period, which means they're not going to be able to access that policy to implement care for 30 days. So it's not something that you're going to be able to access in an emergency. It's more, again, of a long-term planning product. Right? Most policies have a cap, a limit, based on the amount of the policy or the date range once the policy is initiated. So what is the kind of takeaway message here? If you're going to look at a long-term care insurance policy as something you want to have as part of your estate, you need to research these products carefully. Okay. There are some long-term care insurance companies that have been around forever, like Genworth, MetLife. But this is something that you really, 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 really need to read the fine print if you're looking at these policies, to see what the waiting period is, to see what the limits are, the caps are, so that you have realistic expectations of how this product is going to serve you if you opt for it. Durable powers of attorney. This is, for me, one of the most important aspects of this talk and why I give it. Okay? So if you take nothing else away from what I've said tonight, and what we're really talking about tonight is planting seeds about how to set up a comprehensive estate plan. Okay? If you take nothing else away, if you're like, oh my God, she was so wordy and I couldn't even follow her, this is very overwhelming, la, 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 put my head in the sand. Take your head out of the sand for this section, okay? Durable powers of attorney are extremely important. And these are things that you can actually set up now. Outside of a trust, outside of an estate plan, you can, and frankly, you should set them up now. Durable power of attorney for finances. So a durable power of attorney for finances is a document that designates an individual to manage aspects of the finances, to pay bills, to have access to the bank accounts, to have access to investments. It is not the same as the trustee of your estate. Okay? It can be the same individual, but a durable power of attorney for finances and a trustee of an estate are two different animals. Okay? Durable power of attorney for finances is while we're alive. making decisions, helping us manage our finances while we're alive. Trustee of the estate is after a person's passed away and is responsible for distributing the assets from the estate. Not the same, okay? This document can be set up as what's called springing, which means it only takes effect when the individual who designates the person is deemed no longer competent to manage finances, okay? So you can set this up. I know people are a little wary, and I get it, of setting up a power of attorney for finances, but you can actually designate someone like, okay, you're gonna be my person, but only when I'm no longer able to manage my finances, okay? Please don't wait too long on this document, all right? And if you're here and you're thinking, well, okay, maybe I'm not ready to do this, but oh my God, do my parents have this stuff done? This is a very thought-provoking thing to think about your parents, okay? I'm a geriatric social worker. It took me, I don't know how many tries, probably 10 to 15 tries and multiple years to convince my own in-laws who were in their 70s to get these documents executed. And only after my mother-in-law had a very significant stroke did they do it. Please don't wait, because the worst time is when someone's had some sort of really catastrophic health issue. They're no longer able to manage the finances for whatever reason. There's no one in charge, and then the bills don't get paid, and it causes lots of problems, okay? This document must be notarized, It can also be revised or revoked at any time if wishes change, as long as the individual who's designating the power of attorney remains competent. So let's say I designated my spouse, after we got married, I designated my spouse as my power of attorney. 20 years later, we're divorced. I don't want my ex responsible for my money. I can change that. So these documents are not set in stone. It's very important to realize and to understand you can revise them, you can revoke them at any time as long as the individual is competent. Durable power of attorney for healthcare. Okay? This is the bee in my bonnet. Anyone who's over the age of 18 should have a durable power of attorney for healthcare. Any of you have worked on any of these medical shows, ER, Grey's Anatomy, Chicago Med, Pitt, whatever. Life is not like boom, 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 boom. We charge 200, boom, 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 and the person is back with no adverse consequences. That is very, very, very much the exception, not the rule. Okay? God forbid, if you go into a cardiac arrest and you're resuscitated, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be back to normal. Much more likely that a person who is resuscitated is going to be compromised in some way. And what if you don't want to be resuscitated? What if you don't want to be intubated? You don't write that down somewhere, it's going to be done, because your medical professionals are going to default to the most life-sustaining. And that's going to mean CPR, which is going to break your sternum, it's going to break your ribs. And that's going to mean intubation, ventilator, tracheotomy, can mean lots of different things. So if you're listening to me and you're like, heck no, even if you're 35, 40, 45, and you're like, oh my God, if I was to the point where, I needed to be on a ventilator, I wouldn't want that for myself. I've seen XYZ happen. I don't want that for myself. This is the document where you're going to outline that. This document designates an individual to manage all aspects of healthcare decisions, including end-of-life decisions. Again, not the same as whoever you have, as not the same as a state trustee. Can be the same individual, but not the same. It's not the same thing. Also, can be set up as springing, which means you designate someone, but it doesn't take effect until you're no longer able to make healthcare decisions. It can be notarized, or it's actually a valid legal document if it's witnessed by two individuals, one of whom is not related by blood or marriage. So you don't even have to get this puppy notarized. As long as it's witnessed by two people, one of whom is not related by blood or marriage, it is a legal document. Let's say when I'm 25, I have certain things that I would want. I would want to give myself a chance to be resuscitated. I would want to give myself a chance to get off a ventilator if, God forbid, I needed it. Those healthcare decisions could look very different for me when I'm 70. So these can be revised at any time. So the difference between a power of attorney and an advance directive. So the power of attorney for healthcare is basically, I am designating you, Jennifer Clymer is going to be my healthcare proxy. I want Jennifer Clymer to be my person who's going to execute my healthcare decisions if I'm no longer able to do that for myself. Okay? That's what the power of attorney is for. The advance directive is actually where you outline those wishes in more specific detail. Okay? Most powers of attorney for healthcare are pretty old school, and they will just give you the option of, DNR, DNI, do not resuscitate, do not intubate. Okay? Most advanced directives have gotten much more nuanced and much more sophisticated. And they allow you to be much more specific about your wishes. Would I want to be put on a feeding tube? Would I want to be given artificial hydration? These are all things that can be discussed. This is a conversation piece. Same situation, I had this discussion with my in-laws. It took a very long time to get them to execute these documents. And today we're just planting seeds, okay? And again, same thing, this can be revised or revoked at any time if wishes change, as long as the individual remains competent, okay? A word of advice. If you're going to designate someone as your healthcare proxy, please tell them. Please don't let it be a surprise to them. I can't tell you the number of people that were surprised that they had been designated as someone's proxy. Don't do that to the person. Ask them, hey, I would really like you to be my healthcare proxy if I'm not able to make decisions for myself at some point. Are you comfortable doing that? Great. I'm going to make you my proxy. Okay. Other thing to consider. You want to make someone your power of attorney for healthcare who actually can honor your wishes. Okay. So maybe the best person to do that is not your partner or not your child. These are things to think about. If my partner loves me so much that my partner is going to tell the doctors do everything, and everything means CPR, intubation, tracheotomy, feeding tube, that's what everything means. So when the doctor says, do you want us to do everything? That's everything. Okay? So please make sure whoever you choose has the strength to say, I love this person so much and I don't want to lose them, but they would never want XYZ. Therefore, I'm going to follow their directive and I am not going to have this intervention done or that intervention done. Think about this is a big decision. So just be very thoughtful about it, but please tell your person. Same with the power of attorney for finances. Same, when we talk about who's going to be the trustee of your estate, please tell the person and please give them a copy of the document so that they actually know what your wishes are. I can't tell you the number of adult children that I've talked to that did not know that their parents had designated them as the power of attorney for healthcare without telling them. And then some sort of end of life decision, needed to be made. And the adult children were devastated that they had not had the conversation, devastated that they'd been put in that position. The whole point of this talk is that these documents are a communication tool and are a gift to the people who care about you and who are going to care for you. So think of it in that way. Wills versus trusts. Okay, now again, there's a very high level overview. Okay, I am not a certified financial planner. I am not a trust and estates attorney. I cannot tell you what you should put in your trust and what you shouldn't put in your trust. And what is the advantage of putting your cars in your trust, your RV in your trust? I don't know the answer to that. So I'm not going to be able to answer those questions. I am going to tell you to consult with a qualified trust and estates attorney. And at the end of this PowerPoint, there are resources where you can find one. Okay. All right. Wills versus, so what is the difference? What is the difference between a will and a trust? Okay. A will is subject to the probate process. A trust is not. Okay. And in California, if you have more than, I think it's around $25,000 or $30,000, and you only have a will, your will's going to go, you're going to go through probate. Probate is not something we ever want to have happen. Okay. It takes a really long time. It is costly and it fractures families. Okay. Please, please, please. If you have any level of assets, if you have a home, if you don't have a home, with any level of assets, please consider a trust. Okay. Please, 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 I beg of you. All right. Trusts provide a greater level of protection and control of an estate, especially if property is involved. Okay. So if you have property of any kind, you really need a trust. Okay. And this is one of the major reasons why trusts can reduce, I'm not saying will, because everybody's situation is different. Trusts can reduce income and estate taxes and can protect against Medi-Cal estate recovery if Medi-Cal is needed in later life. So let me explain what this means. All right. So I have a house. Okay. I have a nice house, property value in California. My house is in Studio City. It's a small one, but it's probably, $900,000, whatever. I'm making it up. I don't put my house in a trust. I just leave my house as it is. It's paid off, whatever. I have no mortgage. Okay. I need a nursing home, right? In later life. Now, my primary residence is exempt under Medi-Cal, so I don't have to use anything from my primary residence to have Medi-Cal cover the cost of my care, right? While I'm alive. But guess what happens? If I don't put my house that's worth $900,000 in a trust, after I die, Medi-Cal can come back and say, we're going to recover all of the money that we spent on your care, Naomi. So Naomi's children, you don't get the $900,000 from the house. We're going to take 500, 600, however much we paid out, Medi-Cal paid out to cover the cost of Naomi's care when she needed a nursing home. This is why you need a trust. You need to put your house in a trust for no other reason than that. The reality is trusts are more expensive than a will, more labor intensive to complete. And the other thing is both trusts and wills are fluid documents and they should be reviewed regularly, right? What you put in your trust 15 years ago could look very different than what your trust should look like now. Please don't just set this up, forget about it, and never look at it again. Review it like every 5 years, every 10 years. Even if nothing, you think nothing's changed, you don't know. Okay. Relationships change. Maybe someone you designated as a successor trustee, not even the main trustee, but the second or third person if the primary trustee isn't available. Maybe you're estranged from that person now. You don't want them as a successor trustee anymore. You don't want that. Okay. So please make sure that you're reviewing these documents on a regular basis. Burial plans. Okay. So as a social worker, one of the things that we have to talk about is death, right? Social work, our code of ethics, our charge is to reduce stigma and to talk about things that are taboo, and to be practical about it and mindful about it. So we are going to talk about burial plans. Death is going to come for all of us. That's not a question. So these are some burial plan terms. A pre-need is a funeral plan that's purchased ahead of time and it's usually paid in monthly installments. So let's say I want a very simple cremation. That's what I've made my decision that I want. And I want to do that as a pre-need. Maybe I'm even going to go Neptune Society. I just want my ashes scattered at sea. Who knows what I want? I'm going to call Neptune Society and I'm going to set that up as a pre-need. Hey, I want to set up a pre-need. It can be set up so like you're taking out $150 a month, paying $150, whatever you want, but you're paying it monthly, just like a credit card bill, just like your cell phone bill, whatever you pay monthly. Okay. That's what a pre-need is called. An at-need is a funeral plan that is purchased after a person dies, okay? This is not available as an installment plan. If you wait and you don't purchase a funeral plan in the pre-need time frame, it's going to be a one-time bill. It's not going to be set up in installments, okay? The other thing that people need to understand, they're like, oh, I have life insurance. Life insurance is going to take care of, that's what life insurance is for. That's what I have it for. That's why I'm paying it all this time. It's going to take care of my funeral stuff. I don't need to worry about it. Life insurance payouts can take up to 60 days from receipt of the required paperwork. So what that means is whoever is responsible for the bill of the funeral, if there has been no pre-need, is going to be putting this cost on their credit card and going to wait for life insurance to pay out and reimburse them. Who is that? Who is that going to be in your life? Is that going to be your partner? Is that going to be an adult child? Is that going to be a sibling? Do you want that to be the outcome for a person you love who's grieving? I don't. The other thing to understand, the average cost of a burial plot alone, so just the plot, not all the other things that are associated with a funeral, is more than $10,000. Little tiny plot of land, more than $10,000. So these are things to think about when you're thinking about, oh, what is my planning going to look like? What is my estate going to look like? We need to consider these things. So resources, here we are. We're at the end. She's done talking, thank God. Now we're ready for questions. So I have provided a bunch of resources. So Medicare coordination of benefits. I have listed here pretty much all of the Medicare website itself. The other insurances that I know people have, primarily MPI, Flex Plan, National Benefits Fund. This last link is to our program. It's a joint program with MPTF and the Entertainment Community Fund. It's called Entertainment Health Insurance Solutions. And we do have licensed Medicare brokers who can help people figure out the best Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, Medigap policy for their needs. So if you're not going to invest, let's say you're SAG, and SAG got rid of their retiree health plan a couple of years ago. So you're going to need to purchase some sort of Advantage plan when it's time for you to go on Medicare. We can help you look at that. If you're non-affiliated, if you've, not worked union, or you haven't, worked enough to meet the milestones for your particular plan, we can help you figure that out. Advanced directives. So I like this particular document is called the 5 Wishes. I really like this document because it's a conversation piece. It really is very nuanced. It allows you to consider a very thoughtful planning for yourself in terms of your healthcare wishes. I really like it. I've also given some links to finding some trust and estate attorneys, as well as looking at how to shop for long-term care insurance, if that's something that you are interested in exploring. And finally, I've included the MPTF Programs and Services website if you want to find out more about MPTF, if you don't know about MPTF, if you want to find out more about the things that we do, there is a link to our website. Please be advised that this session was recorded, and everyone who attended is going to get a copy of my highly sophisticated PowerPoint. So you will have these slides to refer back to. I'm a big believer that this information is dense, it's complicated, and having something tangible, I'm a visual learner, so having something tangible to refer back to is helpful. So anyone who attended will receive a copy of the slides. If you would like to email me directly, my email address is there, naomi.rodda@mptf.com, naomi.rodda@mptf.com. Okay, there are questions in the Q&A, so we're going to get to those now. Thank you all for listening and for your patience. the first question, is there a difference between regular Medicare versus Medicare as a Kaiser member? So you can, if you are already on retiree health as and have Kaiser as your Medicare Advantage plan, you are attached to Kaiser. There is just FYI, we are about to go into what's called open enrollment. So if you do not have retiree health and you're looking for a Medicare Advantage plan or Medicare supplement plan, between October the 15th and December the 7th, that is annual open enrollment. So if for whatever reason you're not happy with the current Medicare Advantage plan you're on, whether it's Kaiser, whether it's SCAN, whether it's AARP, whatever the case may be, that is your opportunity to make changes for 2026. So if you currently have Kaiser as a Medicare Advantage and for whatever reason you don't like it, you can call, you can, look at the link, the Entertainment Health Insurance Solutions link, and reach out to us, and we can help you do a side-by-side comparison of your current plan, your Kaiser plan, versus your versus another plan. Okay. There's a question here about resources and probate and trust. That question is outside my scope of practice. So I will read out the question, but I am not comfortable answering the question. I was told that any resources higher than 180,000 need a trust to avoid probate. But then I was told if the beneficiaries were lined up with the bank, I would be able to avoid a trust and hence avoid probate. Is this accurate? I cannot answer that question. I would highly encourage you to speak to a qualified trust and estates attorney. Okay. If Medi-Cal and Medicare are the same, okay, so Medi-Cal and Medicare are not the same thing, okay? The question is, if Medi-Cal and Medicare are the same thing, why does one cover home care and the other does not? They are not the same thing, okay? Medicare is basically a health insurance product, okay? That's going to be where your health insurance, if you're over the age of 65, where your health insurance is going to be handled from. Medi-Cal is going to pick up things that Medicare does not cover, such as in-home caregivers, such as if you qualify based on your income and assets, such as the daily rate of a skilled nursing facility. Medicare does not cover the daily rate if you're in a long-term nursing home. That's something that Medi-Cal would cover. Hopefully that answered that person's question. Brigitte Romanoff wants to know if we'll be sending the PowerPoint to the attendees, and the answer is yes. How can we sign up for the September 25th Medicare Zoom that was mentioned? If you received the e-blast for this Don't Wait, Plan Your Estate, you should receive the e-blast for the September 25th Medicare Zoom. If for whatever reason you do not receive it, please email me and I will make sure you get the link. Where do powers of attorney get filed or held? Trusts too. So you can. Oftentimes, powers of attorney will also be in the trust, will be held in the trust. I'm also recommending, but that you also that you have copies that are outside the trust, right? Because I don't know if any of you have seen a trust document. It's like sometimes hundreds of pages, and you don't want to have to dig through your trust or have, God forbid, in an emergency, someone digging through your trust to find out who your power of attorney is. Okay. So yes, powers of attorney can be held in the trust and often are, but they should also be like pulled out and kept in a separate area that's easily accessible. And again, please, please, please give a copy of the power of attorney to the person you're designating. Okay, any recommendations for an attorney? I provided a link for that. What happens if a person is paying off a pre-need burial plan and dies before it is paid off? Do plans typically allow the family to pay it off lump sum for burial? I mean, that seems reasonable. I mean, I would think it would depend on the particular, company that you're working with. obviously, when you're investigating whether you're going to do a pre-need or not, that's a question you should be asking the specific company you're working with. Is there a good age to start signing up for long-term care insurance? Should you wait until you retire? As I mentioned, the longer you wait, the more expensive the monthly premiums are going to be because it is, an age-based thing. In my experience, if you wait till you retire, and many people are putting off retirement long past 65, those premiums are going to be out of reach financially. Usually long-term care insurance, signing up at 50, 55 at the outside edge might still be affordable. I don't think it would be affordable if you started to look at it at 65, 68, 70. Okay, how is the durable power of attorney for healthcare different from an advance directive? So the durable power of attorney is basically, I want you, Jennifer Clymer, to be my person. That's really all a power of attorney is. It's not as broad. So basically it's just designating your person. Okay. An advance directive, a good one, will have the space for you to designate your proxy and outline all your wishes. That's why I personally prefer an advance directive over just a power of attorney. But some people aren't ready, some people aren't ready to confront like, oh, what are my wishes? Like, but, and I would rather people just designate a person that they trust, life is short. And then maybe you get to the advance directive later if you're not really ready to explore the nuances of your healthcare wishes. Does Medicare C extend to your spouse if you are retired vested? That is a question for the specific plan under which you are vested. I don't work for any of the plans, so I cannot answer that question. Please contact the specific plan that you are retired with for an answer there. Even fully vested, the MPI doesn't, yes, the MPI plan does not include Medicare B coverage, meaning we are on the hook. Yes, this is correct. MPI does not include the cost of your Medicare B premiums. This is correct. You are responsible for your Medicare B premiums. And this is per person, per plan. Each individual person over the age of 65 who does not qualify for active coverage, active employer-based coverage, must enroll in Medicare B. And by the way, MPI is not doing this to you. This is the federal government. The DGA is not doing this to you. This is the federal government. Okay, please don't blame your health plan. Doesn't Medicare Advantage override Medicare and knock you off? The Advantage plans are private insurance. Okay, so this is a good question. It's not that Medicare Advantage, quote unquote, overrides Medicare and knocks you off. It's basically, so like when you enroll, let's say you're going to choose AARP or United Healthcare or SCAN or whatever plan, Kaiser. If you are opting for a Medicare Advantage plan, yes, you are assigning your Medicare to that plan. It doesn't knock you off. You still have Medicare A, you still have Medicare B, like you're not having those things, but you are assigning your Medicare benefits under that particular plan. If you have more questions about this, it's a little complicated. Please come to the September 25th webinar if you are not going to invest with Retiree Health, because Annette Green is our expert and she's much more astute at explaining how Medicare Advantage plans work with Medicare. Can I have both Medicare or Medi-Cal and Medi-Cal, or do I have to choose? So Medicare, you're going to have regardless. If you're over the age of 65, no longer working, everybody has Medicare. Okay. Whether you have, this is when you're over 65. If for whatever reason you're younger than 65, there's a possibility that your Medi-Cal could be primary, possibility, okay? But we're talking about only over 65, okay? If you're over the age of 65, you are definitely gonna have Medicare. You may pick up Medi-Cal as a secondary insurance depending on your level of income, your level of assets, and if you have additional care needs, such as the need for in-home caregivers, or the need to be in a more supportive setting. It's not an either or, they work together. Unless for whatever reason, you're very, very low income and you're under the age of 65. From my presentation, I understand that for a durable power of attorney for finances, I could just drop a document on my own, just notarize it or have it signed by 2 witnesses. Is that correct? That is not correct. Okay. A durable power of attorney for finances must be notarized. Okay. It cannot just be signed by 2 witnesses. It must be notarized. I do not recommend drawing up your own document. There are plenty of very good durable power of attorney for finance documents that are free to download. The state of California has them. Probably your state, if you're not in California, your state probably has it. Download a durable power of attorney that's already in place, because that document is going to be comprehensive. If you draw up your own document, the legalese in a power of attorney for finances is so complicated, you're likely to leave out something that you don't realize you're leaving out. So I would not do that. Durable power of attorney for healthcare, same. There are some you can just download off the internet. That can be signed by 2 witnesses and can be valid. Okay, this is an easy one. There are 2 dates given for the Medicare Zoom meeting, both September 15th and September 25th. Which is it? Okay, sorry about that. There was an error in how things were sent out. So the September 15th webinar is for vested retirees with MPI. Okay, so if you are going to be a vested retiree with MPI, you need to come to the September 15th. We do those every month. Okay, if you are not going to vest with retiree health, say you're SAG, you don't have enough credits with DGA or WGA. I don't know their plans as well, so I can't really tell, whether you're going to be retired or not with them. If you are not going to have retiree health and you are going to have to figure out how you're going to cover that 20% that Medicare B doesn't cover, you need to come to the September 25th. Okay, they're both at 6 p.m. I'm overwhelmed. Thank you. Yes, me too. And I see that I need to set up a trust with an attorney. This seems like a long-term thing with a lot of work put into it. Is there anything I should do right away that is simple to do on my own? Let me repeat my soapbox. Do your power of attorney for healthcare in your advance directive. Or at least think about who that person's going to be. Think about who's going to be your power of attorney for finances. Okay. Yes, a trust is a big deal. But the first step, as with anything that's complicated that is not in our wheelhouse, the hardest part is getting started. And you've already all gotten started because you came tonight. So the fact that you even came tonight, I mean, the 115 of you that came, there were 428 people registered and 115 of you came. So you're already ahead of the game because you came tonight and you listened. So the idea behind this presentation is not, oh, I got to go out tomorrow and find an attorney and do this. No, don't let me scare you. That's not what this is about. Okay. This is about planting seeds, and this is about baby steps. So if you are not ready to set up a trust, get it. I totally get it. Think about who your powers of attorney are going to be. Start to have conversations with those people. Hey, Jennifer Clymer, would you be comfortable being my power of attorney for healthcare and, not allowing the doctors to intubate me? Or are you not comfortable doing that? That's a huge and important thing that you can do that's simple to do. Maybe it's not so simple, but it's easier than finding an attorney and meeting with that person and going over all your assets and setting up a trust.
Naomi, just so we're clear, my services aren't available to the whole 115 people who are here online with you. Sorry, everybody.
I mean, I don't know that Jennifer Clymer is available to me, but since she's, the only name I can see, I keep using her as an example. Do you have to assign your Medicare benefits? No, you do not have to assign your Medicare benefits. Okay, you can go with what's called original Medicare. That would be Medicare A, Medicare B, Medicare D, and some sort of Medigap plan. Okay, those tend to be more expensive. So you need to understand what your budget is going to be in retirement if you're not going to vest with retiree health. Okay, these Medicare Advantage plans, a lot of them are 0 premium. All right, zero premium, zero monthly premium, and zero premium for prescription drug costs. Okay, that's the advantage. That's the advantage of an advantage. The thing that's kind of the downside of an advantage plan is it works like an HMO. So there are more barriers to, you can't see any doctor whenever you want, you have to get pre-authorization. So if you've ever had an HMO as your healthcare, that's what an advantage plan looks like. Okay. You can get a PPO, you can get a Medigap plan. It's just that's going to be a budgetary issue. If I'm still working after age 65 and am covered in health by my employer, do I still have to sign up for Medicare? This is an excellent question, and this person should come to the webinars for more information. However, what I will tell you is technically, you do not need to sign up for Medicare. If you are if you plan to work past age 65 and you are covered on whatever your active plan is. So for MPI, that's the active plan. So if you're on MPI and you're covered by the active plan and you plan to work past age 65 and you make your hours every quarter and you never have concerns about losing your insurance, no, you do not have to sign up for Medicare. I strongly recommend that everyone sign up for Medicare A. Why? Because it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Just do it. No big deal. I understand if you don't want to sign up for Medicare B because you have to pay premiums. That makes sense. Please just sign up for Medicare A. Oh, somebody asked one of my favorite questions. What can we get penalized if we don't enroll? Don't be that person, okay? Don't be that person, all right? You must enroll in Medicare B in a timely manner. What happens if you don't? Lifetime penalties. 10% for every year that you don't enroll. Okay. I just recently dealt with someone who was taking care of his brother. And guess what? At age 77, his brother had not enrolled in Medicare B. You should have enrolled when he was 65. So he has 12 years worth of penalties, lifetime. They do not go away. Okay. So instead of paying $185 per month, which is the standard premium for 2025, he's paying over $500 a month just in Medicare B premiums because of the penalties. That's what happens if you don't enroll. You're not going to get away with not enrolling. It's not going to happen. So please enroll when you're supposed to. What is the level of income that allows Medi-Cal to cover things? So income is different than assets. So the asset limit for 2026 is $130,000. The income limit is based on the number of people in your household. So without knowing the number of people in your household, I can't really answer that question. So there's a difference between the assets and the income. Okay. What I can tell you is if you are over the income limit, not the asset limit, but let's say the limit is $2,000 and your monthly income is $3,000. Okay. In order for you to qualify for Medi-Cal, you're going to have what's called a share cost. So you would have to pay Medi-Cal $1,000 of your $3,000 to qualify. So for most people, that's not worth it because you're giving away a sizable part of your income in order to qualify. Okay. And the Medi-Cal guidelines change every year. It's a snapshot in time. So I'm a little reluctant to give a lot of detail. You can, because it's constantly fluid and changing. Yes, Mr. Peter Iovino, your point about long-term care insurance, not coming through for people, that is a common downside. That's why in my slide, I suggested to people that they research this product carefully and that they really try to understand if it will work for them or not. Thank you so much for your patience, for your concentration. I hope this was helpful. It's meant to start conversations. It's meant to help people demystify what this is all about. Hopefully it didn't scare you. Hopefully it was thought-provoking. As I said, this recording is going to be available probably in a couple days. We want to just, tweak it, make it perfect for you. But I will be sending out the slides to this PowerPoint tomorrow for anyone who attended. We'll probably do it again in a couple months. So if you're more of a audio learner and you want to hear me talk more again, check back with us. If you're not already receiving correspondence from MPTF, I encourage you to please sign up for our newsletter. That's how you get, and sign up for course for communication. That's how you get notices of webinars like this. Yeah, thank you for giving up part of your evening.
Naomi,
Yes, Jennifer.
I want to acknowledge there are a lot of people thanking you in the Q&A. I want to thank you as well. I learned a lot. I will say to the group watching, years ago, you pointed me in the direction of 5 wishes for advanced directive. If all of this seems overwhelming, the 5 wishes really simplifies things. It's a great entree to starting to get your mind around some of these things. So please check that out if that's like one small step. Is that helpful?
Yep, definitely. Definitely. Five Wishes is a wonderful document. It really, really is. I highly, highly recommend it. And yeah, if anybody didn't get their questions answered, or if you have a situation that is more personal, more sensitive, please feel free to email me. Social workers, there's nothing you can say that's gonna make me judge you. So just know that. And there's 20 more of us that feel exactly the same way. So thank you again for your time, for your attention, and have a good night.